Alright, so you made a calendar page and it goes here and it just says calendar in the correct views file. So if I scroll down here, you created a bunch of these different routes. This is great. And so now if I go to calendar, then I automatically load this message and it just returns this. So how can we build on this? To return information like a template, like an HTML file with all sorts of layout and images and useful things like that, we need to load a template. And because this is doing business about the league, we should keep it not in our blog and core files, but in the league files. So we have a calendar here. Right? We can change, instead of return this, we can return a render template command. And what template? Well, league and calendar .html. So that should render this template and form a whole big bunch of HTML that gets returned to the user. But it doesn't know what render template is, so from Flask import render template. So now we know what render template is. Get this hot mess, and that's because you just straight up copied and pasted the calendar and we didn't extend the base. All of the links to our CSS and JavaScript and the title, our favicon, the little icon up here, all of that kind of stuff is going to be kept inside the base. And we did a good job there. We have all of these dynamic links so that we'll track down these files and hook up everything. We have the basic toolbar programmed out once, so it doesn't have to be on every single page. And so there's the nav bar that we all programmed up, and our mega menu, and our right bar, left sidebar. Okay, all of this stuff is all programmed here, and here's where our content goes. So everything from like the basic wrapper and overlay is all taken care of. Look at your calendar and let's scroll down. Here we go. Here's the wrapper, the mega menu, right bar, left sidebar, wrapper, main menu, right bar, left bar, and then the content comes after that. And so that's this. So this is the only thing that should be here. Everything else, before and after, should probably go away. Okay, not this. This is actually a modal. This is a pop-up, a modal. The problem is this modal exists outside of the page wrapper. So if we, the only place we have here to insert is this block content. The wrapper, we don't have a space down here where all of these modals are being kept. But that's easy to do. If we want to have a spot to store modals, if our various pages have specific modals, we can just make a new block for modal and end block. No problem. So that way, alright, so all of this stuff all the way to the end, don't need it. Instead, we just say extends base.html. Now we're linked to the file here, and this whole stuff will go block content, and then after this, we just end block. So all of this stuff is going to be inserted dynamically right in here and fit itself in with all of the base template that we already set. And so that's the block content. Now we want modal outside of this page wrapper. So here's the page wrapper. This is where it goes away. And now we want this to be block modal. And then after our modal is done, end block. So now this will get inserted in the right place here outside of the wrapper. And all of this other stuff, full calendar bundle, we should make sure that these scripts that look very require very much necessary for our calendar are here, and I don't see that. So let's make sure that we can insert these. That I'm wondering is, do we really want to load this big calendar file on every single page? It could slow things down, cause extra complications. So I think we want to have yet another special block just to insert special JavaScript code when needed. So does the base allow me to do this? So let's have after the built-in ones, if you have special scripts you want to load, you can. So block, additional, how about we just do scripts. So and now it's just blank unless you have something that you would like to insert. So if we have special scripts we'd like to insert, here we go. We have, these are the same, and main scripts bundle, all of those are the same. Main scripts bundle, but so this one is already there, and these two are already there. This stuff is all unique, so in order for it to appear in the right spot, we put it in the appropriate block scripts, and there we go, and block. And so, but now these assets aren't in the same place where we think this path is. Instead, we need to look that up. That's going to be in static bundles. Yeah. So we just say this is going to be, look up the URL for something in the static folder. Look for the file name of bundles, and then full calendar. There you go. So you should find it right there, and that'll be the same thing for whatever this knob thing is. So copy this. There we go. Bump, 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 bump. Okay, dump. Okay. So now we should be all set there. Okay, and save that, save that. And so now, oh, sorry, this one, if I reset here, we can't find a file, and that's static assets.js. Oh, I think it might just be under JS, not assets.js. JS. Assets, right, JS. I think that's what we're looking for. And refresh. Here we go. Now we've got an actual calendar. And so that's all of this stuff that's just being loaded from these JavaScript. We're not actually loading any particular information from the user itself. There looks like it's hard-coded in there. So all of these tables and rows in here are fixed. And so this isn't actually loading a dynamic JavaScript calendar. So I wonder what this JavaScript calendar thing is generating. Is that something like... Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what this thing is loading. I don't see it able to change anything here. Okay, alright, there's something happening here. So where it says where it's loading this particular date range, where is it finding that date range? Because there are plenty of ways where we can hand off information to JavaScript, and so there are all sorts of ways that we can communicate from Python to JavaScript, but we need to figure out sort of how, where the plug is, where do we connect to it. But in the meanwhile, let's go with a simpler challenge at the moment, and let's just say, let's imagine I was here and I wanted to load some information. So that's what Tyler is going to do. I could be able to use current user, and then I could use, I could get the events or something. So I'll be able to pull information from the current user account and all of their teams and leagues and other and historical data from that current user. But right now we don't have those models worked out yet. We're still working on that. So let's just imagine that I had my next event loaded somehow, and it just right now is just, let's say Tuesday, just for giggles, and over here inside the body here, I could just say my next event is, and then I could do next event. Now, how can calendar.html know what this next event is? And that's because when I render the template, I'll say, hey, if you're looking for next event, then use this here next event object. So this is the one that's being looked for over here, and this is the one that's being loaded right here. They happen to be the same name for my convenience, but they are different. So now that I have that all set, I can say my next event is Tuesday. So this is static in that it is fixed here, but we would in the future just load some information from the user, and it doesn't have to be a string. We could set up an actual event thing and loop through and build the calendar according to that user's data. We need to build the models first, but what you're doing is great in that you're experimenting and trying to think about how do I represent the data on the front end. That's great.